Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. In today's video, we're bringing you our top 15 tips and tricks inside of Microsoft Word. Before we get started with today's video, if you're interested in purchasing Microsoft Office, Windows 10, Windows 11, remote desktop licenses, or a wide variety of other Microsoft software at a great price, be sure to check out Indigo Software. We'll leave links down below. So without further ado, let's jump in. All right, guys, so here we are inside of Microsoft Word. We have Office Home and Business 2021 installed on this PC currently. However, regardless of what version of Word you're using, most of these tips should still be applicable. The first tip we're going to bring to you guys today is quick selection. So we can do this by clicking on our mouse and by using a keyboard shortcut. Now, for example, if I double click on a word, I'm going to select the word. If I triple click 1, 2, 3, we're going to select the entire paragraph. If I hit Control and then click, we're going to select the entire sentence. So that's an easy way to select and modify your text in Word. The next tip that we have for you guys is the Format Painter. We have this option available here. There's also a keyboard shortcut for it. Let's say, for example, that this text here is not blue, but it's black. Let's say maybe I have a lot of these headings and I want them to all match. Well, what I can do is I can select a heading or a part of text that I want to apply other places. And I can either Control, Shift, and C to copy it, or I can click the Format Painter button. And then I can go over here and basically by selecting this, it's going to paste the format. So again, with my Format Painter selected and selecting new text, it's going to copy that over. So we call that the Format Painter. Now, in terms of the keyboard shortcut, I think I actually had it wrong. It's going to be Alt Control C and Alt Control V. So Control Alt C, okay. And then I will select where I want to paste it, Control Alt and V. And there we are pasting the formatting, but not the actual text. Our next tip, tip number 3, is to quickly add numbers or bullet points. All we have to do is go to the Home tab here. And by clicking this little button, we can insert a bulleted list. By typing in some text and hitting Enter, we can automatically have new bullets created. And if I want to start a new line without the bullets, I can simply click this button right here. We can do the same thing with numbers by clicking up here. I could also type the number 1 and a period followed by space. Now, again, if I hit some text and then hit enter, it'll automatically count up in numerical order. Tip number 4 is to use the navigation pane. If I click on view, here we have an option for the navigation pane. So if I check this right here, I can easily click between my headings to maybe navigate my document just a little bit easier. At any time, I can go back to the view tab and uncheck to hide the navigation pane. Our next tip is to convert a PDF to Word. Here in my downloads folder, I have a PDF that I created. So if I click into this, we can see we have a PDF which has non-editable text. However, if I go to File and Open inside of Word, let's go to this PC, double click, and let's click that document and let's hit Open. At the top, I have a button to enable editing. Now Word has automatically converted our PDF into an editable text document. And if we'd like to resave this as a PDF after adjusting it, I can go to File, Save As, select our destination, click the drop-down menu, and change it back to a PDF. Our next tip is easy collaboration. Now, this is accessible via OneDrive, so if you have documents that are being stored in OneDrive, we can easily share the link by clicking this button right here. I can then follow the prompts to upload it into OneDrive, and unfortunately, my OneDrive is full at the moment, but assuming you have some space, you can then generate this link, share it with friends, and the cloud storage in this case will allow for real-time collaboration. The next tip is quickly find and replace. So if I hit Control or Command on Mac and H on the keyboard, we will be able to find and replace with. Let's say, for example, I made a common typo in my words throughout the document, and I want to replace CPU, in this case, with processor. Okay, let's go ahead and replace all and see what happens. As we can see, CPU has now been replaced with processor. The next tip that we have for you guys is split window. So if you're multitasking or editing a few areas of your document simultaneously, if we go to view here, we have access to a view called split. Now split is going to give us the option to work independently from the two different screens. So for example, I could work on the title section here while also making edits to one of my paragraphs below. I can exit out of this at any point by going back to the View tab and hitting Remove Split. The next tip that we have for you guys is to insert tables instantly. So let me go to a blank space in my document. And if I go to insert, here we have options just like Excel to insert a table. By highlighting my mouse over the blocks here, I can choose how many rows or how many columns I would like. I can click that, and now I have my table. The next tip we have for you guys is to customize our quick access toolbar. If I click this little drop-down arrow, we can easily customize it with some of the common tools. For example, I might want to have read aloud or let's say undo available in my quick access toolbar. I can add or again, remove things here. So now I have undo and redo, but there are also more options than this. If I go to file and options, now I can go to the quick access toolbar and access even more tools. For example, if I want to add insert picture, I can click add, and now I can see that as well in my quick access toolbar. Click OK to save changes. Next up is to track and review changes. So if I go to the review tab here and I hit track changes, now I'm essentially in a reviewing mode, and anything that I edit is not a permanent edit, but rather a suggestion. So here we can see I have my suggestions, and if I want to review this, I can either accept or reject this change. Let me go ahead and reject and it will revert it. This is most useful when reviewing somebody else's document, whether you're helping them to revise it, whether it's a contract that you have some requested revisions. You can easily track those changes, send the document back to them, and then they can go through in their reviewing mode to accept or reject, or even leave comments on those changes. Next up, let's go back into options. And inside of proofing, we have something called autocorrect. So basically inside of autocorrect, we can create our own custom correction. Let's say I type Indigo Software on a regular basis, and I want to actually replace that with Indigo Software Company as a proper noun. Let's go ahead and add that. Okay, let's say that I type Indigo Software. Now we can see it auto-corrected that to Indigo Software Company. So that's a quick way that you can easily type in frequently used sentences or words without having to manually input the whole thing. Another thing we can do is remove formatting with a single keyboard shortcut. In this case, Control and Space. Let's try it for this hyperlink here. Control and Space will remove the formatting in just the click of a button. Now, just as easily as we removed, in this case, the hyperlink, we can insert a hyperlink with Control K. So Control and K together. We're going to an existing file or web page, and here we have the address, which is correct, so I'll press OK. And there we can see we have our hyperlink inserted. The final tip for today is to insert screenshots. So on the Insert tab, we're going to have something called Screenshots. I can basically insert a screenshot from other windows that are currently open. In this case, my File Explorer and my downloads. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. In today's video, we're going to show you guys how to master formatting inside of Microsoft Word. Whether you're creating essays, business documents, or resumes, knowing how to properly format your documents can serve you well. We're going to cover some of the basic formatting things such as text formatting, but we're also going to show you how to set your page margins. We're going to learn a little bit about page breaks, indentations, and more. All right, guys, so here we are inside of Microsoft Word. I put together an essay on why Sony makes the best cameras for video production. This is going to be a persuasive essay that we're going to use as our example document as we go through and do all the proper formatting. We're using Microsoft Office Home and Business 2021 for this video, but no matter what version of Office you're using or whether you're on PC and Mac, most of the tools will remain the same, so this video will still help. Okay, the first thing we're going to cover are the page margins. This can be accessed from the Layout tab in the top, and if I click this little arrow on margins, we have a few quick adjustments that we can make. You may or may not have specific requirements for margins based on your use case, but in most college applications, we're going to have 1-inch margins all around. So instead of the Office 2003 default, which we're currently on, let's try the 1-inch margins all the way around. And as we can see, that changed the margins of our page, and now we have the correct 1-inch margins. Now, it's also important to note from this Layout tab, we have several other options available to us, some of which will also be available from the Home tab. But for example, we can change our page orientation. If we wanted to do landscape for any reason, we can access that here. And we can also change our page size. Although in this case, we will stick to a standard sheet of paper size, which is 8.5 by 11 inches. We also have access to the columns settings from here. But for now, let's go back into the home page and continue shaping up our document. Another thing we might want to consider pretty early on in our document is the line spacing. Line spacing can be easily changed in Microsoft Word from the paragraph group. So in here, we have this little drop down here with the arrows that point down and up, and this is going to give us our line spacing. We currently have 1.15. Now, in a lot of cases, to properly format a college essay, we would either want single or double space lines, not necessarily 1.15. So I'm going to select all this. I could also use Control and A, or Command A if you are on Mac. And we can access our line spacing again from here. Let's go ahead and switch it to double spaced. Okay, so my lines are now double spaced. We're gonna work on this title section here in a moment, but let's continue to focus on the text first. I'm gonna Control A again. You may or may not have a specific font that should be used. For this, we're gonna go with Times New Roman, and we're gonna set the font size to 12. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit here just so I can have a bit of a better look at my document. And the first thing I might want to do, even before I get to the title, is my identification header. Let's go ahead and type that out. I'm going to put my name and I'll hit enter. In a lot of cases here, you might put your professor's name if you're writing college essay. I'm going to go ahead and put Indigo Software. Let's enter another line. Here we might put the course that we're studying. So I'll put video production. And then lastly, I will put today's date. Okay. And then from here, I'm going to do 2 lines. Okay. And then I'll hit enter on my title to create a new line. And again, we're going with the requirements for a college essay here. We're going to show you the tools so you could kind of make this however you need to. But based on my requirements, I need this to be in the middle. So the title only should be middle aligned. Now, another thing that I'm noticing right off the bat is that this text should all be black. So I can just Control A to select everything again. And if we go to this little A here and click that arrow, we can select black to make everything black. We may or may not be required to add page numbers. Luckily, this is very easy. We can just go back to the Insert tab here, so one over from Home. And if we scroll down towards the middle, we can see page number. And it's also going to give us several options such as top, bottom, page margins, or current position. We're going to go with top of page, and I'm going to select plain number 3, which will give it to us at the very top right. And this is what I want in this case. Now let me scroll down and we see 2 and we see 3. So that looks good. We can now go ahead and close the header and footer. So now this is non-editable and we'll just be working on our document, but the page number will remain. A few other things about text that we have control over. We have bold, italic, or underline. So these are all available right here. And I can also use keyboard shortcuts to adjust that. So for example, if I select my title and do Control and B, that's bold, hit it again to unbold, and then I is for italic, and then U is for underline. And so per my requirements, I won't be making those formatting adjustments to my title text. I just want it to be centered, but just knowing that you can access those here or from your keyboard shortcuts at any time is very useful. Also take note that if you're on Mac, any of our control commands will actually be the command key for you. Now, another thing that we're noticing here is that I have this line, and this is a design setting. In my case, I don't want this. This is not correct with my formatting requirements. So to remove this or to add it, we're going to access those things from the design tab here in Word. So as you can see, we've got various themes with designs that would give us various different fonts and headings and subheadings. And actually what I'm interested in doing here, so I'm going to drop this down and I want to reset this to the default style set. So for this document, that's what we want. And now we can see it is returned to the default. Now, let me go ahead and select this text here and let's go back to the Home tab. Now, if you notice when we made that adjustment, it changed our text that was previously in the title and it looks like the letters are too close to each other now, which is not what we want. I'm going to right click on the selection here and let's click Font. And then we have this Advanced tab here and this is where we can control the spacing. We try to set as default and we'll use this document only. Now we can see that the letters are consistent throughout the document, which is what we want. Now that we've written the title section, I'm going to press backspace or delete from my first bit of text that's in the actual body of the paragraph. So there should only be one line between these, which is good. Now, one thing we might notice that while we do have our paragraphs broken, they don't have any indentations. And this can make it a little bit tricky to read as somebody who's looking at this document. It kind of looks like it's maybe a little jumbled together. And indentations may or may not be required as a part of your college essay as well. Luckily, there's a few easy ways to do this. One is I can basically put the cursor right before the first word in the sentence, the very start of the paragraph, and I can hit tab. It's going to indent only the first line, which is what we want. And I could go to each paragraph and do this, or I could hit tab as I start to type a new paragraph. But there's also a way to control each paragraph at the same time. So if I select only the body text, let's go all the way down to the bottom of the document here. Okay, and then with this selected, we're going to go to our Home tab here, and we want to click this little arrow by the paragraph. So this gives us paragraph settings. Okay, so in here, we're going to find settings for indentation, and we can actually specify a criteria. So basically what I want to do is I'm going to leave the settings as default, and I'm going to click this down to first line. By not adjusting these, we're going to have a standard indentation starting at the first line of each paragraph. Let's press OK. And as we can see, that adjustment has been made not just to the first paragraph, but to all of the paragraphs. And if we want to adjust that again, we can select this paragraph or select multiple and go back into our settings, and we could make further adjustments from here. A few more things to talk about in terms of paragraphs. We can adjust things like our alignment. So I can adjust everything if I wanted to the middle or to the right side of the document. In this case, we're going to keep it on the left. And I could also add bullet points or numbers. So if I click this little button here, so it'd create bullets. Notice how I can quickly undo that with Control or Command Z. So that's the undo command. And I could also add numbers here. Since this is indented, it's why it's giving us the letters. So for example, if I start on this line and hit a number, it's going to give us 1. And then by entering into a new line, it would give us 2. And so that's how you can quickly add and remove numbers. If we hit the button again, it would remove it. Let's go ahead and select our paragraphs again. And we're going to explore a few options in the layout tab. So let's click over to layout here. And we have an option called spacing. This option will allow us to adjust how much space there is between breaks in our text. So this is 30 points, 24, etc. We're going to leave this at 0, but it's good to know that you can adjust that, or we could also adjust it for the after. So the point of formatting your paragraphs in a specific way is to help break up the text, which makes reading easier. All right, guys, next up, we're going to talk about section breaks and page breaks. So let's say, for example, on page 2, I want to conclude my document. This is my conclusion paragraph, and then I want to have references on the next page. So I can do this at the Insert tab. We're going to have access to different breaks here. So the page break would, for example, end the current page here and start the next page. So if I hit that, you see my references has moved onto page 3. Now that is the only thing on page 3. Now, if we wanted to make a change to our, let's say, headers without affecting the rest of the document, we could instead do what's called a section break. So with my cursor here between this and the references, I might want to insert a section break. We're going to be able to do this from the layout tab instead. So let's go there, and under breaks, we can hit continuous, which is basically a section break and start a new section on the same page. So now the formatting applied here is not going to affect the previous parts of the document, if that makes sense. Now, if we want to make further adjustments to our page breaks, or maybe delete or add another section break, we can actually access something called the hidden formatting tool. And if we want to access that, let's go to our home tab. We're looking for this little button here. So now this is going to show us where the breaks are happening. And it's also even going to tell us what kind of break it is. So we can see our section break continuous here. And basically I can delete this. Now, if I wanted to remove this section break, I'm going to go to the very beginning of the dotted line, and I'll just hit the delete key. It's going to remove the section break for us. Now, let's say I want to delete this section break, and maybe I want to add back in a page break. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's say, for example, I want my references to be on the next page, and I want there to be a section break so that I can make formatting or layout adjustments only to my references page for whatever reason. Let's go back to the layout tab. And if I do breaks, I can do next page under section breaks. So that's going to put us on the next page, and it's going to include a section break. Okay, so now with my cursor on this page, I can change my layout, and it's only going to affect this page. So hopefully this is giving you an idea of how you can use section breaks to break up the formatting of your document. So for example, we want this to be horizontal. We want this to remain in a portrait landscape. And if I go back to home, I can easily get out of my hidden formatting mode and continue working on the document. Now let's focus a little bit more on the design tab. So notice that we have this references here. This is acting as a drop down with a title. Going back to the home page here, I have a little section called styles. This is going to let me pick some available sort of template styles that I could use. And then of course I can select this text. And if I wanted to, I could bold or italicize that. That might be how you want to go about changing or adjusting your headings. So again, maybe you want to select all of your headings that you might have and put them in a certain style. So you can do that easily with the styles group here. All right, guys. So in conclusion, if we want to preserve all of the formatting for further editing or further use, the best way to do that is going to be to save it in a specific file format, which is a Word document. So if I go to File here and Save As, let's click this PC, and I'll double click that. If we save this as a Word document, it's going to save all of our formatting edits. We'll be able to further adjust those in the future. And if you want to deliver this as a non-editable document, we could do something like a PDF. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. In today's video, we're taking you guys through a complete beginner's guide to Microsoft Word. Our goal was to include everything that you need to know about Microsoft Word to use the program effectively. And so this video may be on the longer side, but we hope that you can find a lot of value out of it. Be sure to stay tuned, as we will also be dropping intermediate and advanced lessons on Microsoft Word in the future. All right, guys, so I am currently on Windows 11 on my desktop, and I'm going to hit the Start menu here. And I'm going to go ahead and type in Word, and I'll press Enter to open the application. If you don't already have Office installed, we have a full tutorial on this, and you can watch it right here. Okay, so before we get into making and modifying documents, let's go through the menu system a little bit. So this is what we're met with on our homepage. Now, depending on what version of Word that you're running, this may look a little bit different. However, Word has stayed pretty much the same for the last several years with minor improvements and tweaks, and most of the updates have centered around making the application more modern in appearance. So no matter what version of Word you're on, this tutorial should still be helpful for you. Okay, so we have Home at the top. This is our navigation pane. Below that, we also have a New tab. This is where we're going to find additional options such as templates, and we'll come back to this a little bit later. Below that, we have a tab called Open. This tab is going to give us quick access to previously created or used documents. So if I want to open a document that I've already been working on, I might find that from the Open tab. And then at the very bottom here, we have Account and we have options. Let's start off in the Account tab. Here I can switch my Office license if I would like to. I also have Update and Microsoft 365 options. Here we can also find add-ins and About Word. And then on the left side under User Information, we can manage our privacy settings. We can change the background. And then I can also change the theme. So for example, it's on dark gray right now. I could change it to white if I would like to, or colorful. I'm going to keep it on dark gray as that is the theme that I prefer. All right, so that is a basic tour of the menu system, and it's pretty easy to navigate overall. Let's go back to the Home tab here and let's see what we can do with this. Okay, so we have a new section. This is going to give us a few templates here, and then we also have the blank document option, which we might use in a lot of cases. Now, if I click more templates, it's basically going to bring us back down to that new tab that we were showing you guys earlier. And from here, we have some available templates or some suggested templates, but we could also search for a template. For example, let's say I want to make a new resume. I could type in the word resume and hit enter, and it's going to search for various different templates that we could use and start editing directly. We can search for anything that we would like in here, as there are a wide variety of templates that will come up. Now, for the purpose of today's demonstration, let's go ahead and start with a blank document. Okay, so once inside of my document, my cursor will automatically be at the top left-hand section of the page. Another thing that we're going to notice is that we now have various different tabs that we can navigate to, and this is going to give us access to different tools that can help us to compose our document. So at any time, if we want to go back to that menu at the beginning, we're going to find that in the File tab. And if I would just want to go back to the document, I can hit this little back arrow here. The next tab is going to be our Home tab. Now this is called Home because most of the common tools that we're going to be using throughout the composing process will be here. So most of the time, in all likelihood, we will be on the Home tab. And so this is a good place to get familiar with. When you first start using Microsoft Word, it's going to automatically create what's called groups. Okay, so we have tabs here, and then underneath the tab, this is called a ribbon. The ribbon is this section of tools that spans across the entire top of the application, and then they're separated by these little lines that we like to call groups. The way that Word is designed is to keep all of the relevant tools together so that you can use them in an effective way. All right, so just exploring this, we have the clipboard group. This is going to give me things such as paste and format painter. We also have direct access to the clipboard. This next one here called file, this is one that I actually custom created in settings, and we will touch base on that in our intermediate video. Next up, we have font, and this is going to give us font size, font selection, and all of the other character adjustments that we can make, including bold, italic, underline, and highlight. Next up after that, we have a paragraph group, and this is going to give us things like bullet points. We can select numbers, indentations, and then we can also change our alignment. Next up, we have styles. So here we can basically select preset heading styles. For example, if I want to make a title and then a heading and then a subheading, I can select this and it will apply that style to whatever I'm typing. All right, and then after that we have editing, and here we have find, replace, select, and we have add-ins as well. So we're going to be exploring mostly the Home tab in this video, but we will also briefly touch on the other tabs. All right, guys, so for the purpose of demonstration today, I'm going to be creating a videography service agreement. I'm going to type this out as if it was an actual agreement so you guys can see how I'm formatting the document and how I use Word to easily compose it. So the first thing I might want to do in this case is write a title. And what we're going to do is as we create this document, we're going to explore some of the various different tabs here that we can come back to. I'm just going to type in videography service agreement. Okay. And then if I either click and drag to highlight this, or I can triple click, I'm going to select one of the styles up here. And for the title, I'd like to use strong. And I'm going to increase the font size here. Let's say I want to go up to 14. One thing I may actually want to do here is capitalize this. All right, and then I'm going to press enter to start a new line. I went ahead and typed out some of the first agreement terms. Now, one thing I may want to do here is bold the names and dates. So if I select these, I don't have to go up here and press this little B button because we have shortcuts in Word that are automatically going to be in place. So Control B or Command B if you're on Mac is how we're going to bold that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bold the company name. I'll bold my name as well. I'll bold Videography, which is my fake company in this case. Since we have some initial text typed in here, let's cover a few other things that we could do if we want. So let's say I select this line here. If I want to make this italic, I can either press the little I here, or I can do Control or Command I. That's for italic or italicize. And then the same thing for underline is U, so Control or Command U. We could also access that right here. If I hit this little icon, it's going to cross out lines. So this can be helpful when modifying or revising documents. And then another one you might use commonly here is text highlight color. So if I hit that, we can highlight it. And if I want to change it to a different color, I can do that by hitting this little arrow. So there we go. And then if I don't want it to be highlighted anymore, let me go ahead and select it again, and we can just change this to no color. Earlier, I wanted to make this all caps. If I wanted to make this lowercase again, I can simply hit this right here, and let's hit sentence case. Okay, and now we can see the first letter is capitalized. I could also change this to capitalize each word. Or if I want to go back to all uppercase, I could do that as well. Now, if I wanted to change the alignment of the text, for example, have this in the middle, I can hit this little icon here, which kind of shows me a preview of how the text will line up. I could put it on the right, I could put it in the middle, or in this case, I actually want to keep it on the left. Now I can also select all of my text again. Another way I can do that is by hitting Command or Control A. Okay, so that's select all. And if I want to, I could increase my line spacing here. So we can go 2, 1.5, 1.15, or we could actually custom space it right here. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it at 1 for now, but good to know that that's there. All right, guys, so I went ahead and typed out my next line here, which is services provided. Now, let's say I want this heading or this title, the formatting to match this. We have a tool that we have called, there's a tool we can use called Format Painter. So let me go ahead and select my title, and then I'll click Format Painter. Now, if I click and drag over what I want to be formatted, it's going to format it just like this, which in this case was just the bold. And then again, I could come up here and uppercase this. And so now we have our first heading here matching our title. So now we have our number 1 services provided matching our title. Now, another thing I might want to do here, underneath filming details, I'll probably want this to be bullet points. So to do that, I'll just click the bullet right here, and I can basically click in front of each line here and click this icon. And then if I have another line item, for example, post-production, all I have to do is hit enter, and it's going to automatically make a new bullet point. Now, if I hit enter twice, it will bring me back to essentially not having bullet points. We could do the same thing with numbers as well. Okay, there's a few other things we wanted to cover here on the home tab. So we've covered the styles, we've covered the font, paragraph sections, we've covered the format painter. Another thing we have access to is the clipboard. So if I click that, we have items that we could paste that we copied earlier. So for example, if I copied 10 different things in the last hour, and maybe I want to paste one of them because I'm frequently having to paste that exact same line, I don't have to go back and copy it again. I can just grab it from my clipboard here. We could also clear this or paste all. And another thing we wanted to cover on this side is the editing. So if we want to replace or select, the most common one that I'm going to be using over here is find. I can also access find with Control or Command F. So if I click on find, it's going to pull up this little navigation thing where I can basically search for words or characters. Let's say I want to find anything that says videography. So I'll search videography and I'll hit enter. And then here I can quickly navigate to the different parts of my document that say videography, or I can actually see that it's highlighted on the page. Now I can X out of this and clear that and close this at any time. All right, let's go ahead and keep working on our document. Let's go over to the Insert tab. Now here we have a lot of different options, and this might feel overwhelming at first, but this is actually very, very simple. We have a few things here. We have page breaks, so we can insert a blank page or a cover page, or a page break. So for example, if I want this page to be done and I want to start typing on the next page, here we can hit what's called a page break, and that'll bring us to the top of the next page. One shortcut that I like to use a lot is Control Z, or in your case, Command Z. If I just hold Control and keep hitting Z, it will undo the previous action. And so now I'm right back to where I was before I added the page break. All right, so we've covered what we can do here. We also have a table. So we could insert a table, and by hovering on this, I could, for example, do a 4x2 or a 2x4, however many cells I want, I can select that and insert the table. We also have options such as insert, draw, or Excel spreadsheet here. So very quick and easy way to add a table. Next up, we have pictures. We have stock pictures online or from this device, so local pictures. Okay, then we have shapes, icons. Here we can see the icons are stock images that come up in their own window. And then we have 3D models and various other options as well. For example's sake, I'm going to show you guys how to add a picture. Let's go from this device. All right, and let's say I want to grab a film photo here from a production that I did recently. So I can go ahead and click on it, and I'll click insert. All right, and then I can either approve or I can edit the image. I can also resize by clicking and dragging on any of these points. So if I do that, it's going to squeeze it. But if I grab one of the corners, it will maintain the aspect ratio. And I could drag that down. And let's say I like that, so I can go ahead and approve that. Okay, and then if I click edit here, we have a few options in terms of the borders. We can change the transparency, add color, or corrections. For now, I'm going to leave the image as is. Just note that you can make changes here. And I will actually resize it a little bit. I'll say right about there is good. All right, and then I can select this and move it, or I can hit the backspace key if I want to delete it. Now, another thing that we can insert here are links. Again, we have a shortcut for that as well. Let's say I want to hyperlink professional videography and post-production services. I can add local links, so links to local documents on my computer. But if I want to send this out to somebody else, I might want to use a web link. One example I might use a hyperlink for is I have a PDF that I send my clients when booking video services. And that's basically a PDF proposal. And a lot of times it's going to be uploaded to Google Drive, which means I can save a share link. And let's say I want to link that in here if they want to reference that. So I can do Control K or Command K if you're on Mac. And we're going to do existing file or web page. And then we can type the address or paste the address here. And I'll press OK. All right. And then I can select that and do Command K again to adjust that if I would like to. Again, we can select local documents as well, but in this case, I will leave it as my drive link. Also on the Insert tab, we have headers, footers, we have page numbers if we'd like to add that. Let's say I want to add a page number to the bottom of the page. I'll go bottom right. There we can see we've basically automatically added a footer with a page number. And then we can also add comments. Let's say I want to add a comment here. I'll select the text here and I'll hit comment. And I'm going to pretend to be the client in this case. And I'm going to say we only need 6 hours of coverage. All right. Let me go ahead and hit this little blue icon here. So now if I'm reviewing the document again, I can basically see that this is highlighted. And I can see that somebody left a comment that is relevant to what's highlighted. I can thumbs up it, or I can also resolve it or delete it. We have additional custom things here that we can use, such as quick parts. Quick parts would be like a title that we use on a regular basis. And then a text box here, we basically can add little sidebars or quotes. Now, quick parts is pretty easy here. If we want to utilize quick parts, I'm going to select a part of the document that I want to easily be able to insert all the time. This is kind of similar to clipboard, but actually permanently saved inside of the application. If I hit quick parts now, I'm going to hit save selection to quick parts gallery. I'll give it a title, service agreement, and I'll press OK. Okay, so now if I have a section here that I want to add another header like this, I can just click that. And maybe I want to change this to number 2. And I can start typing and it's already going to be formatted the way I need. We also have other things like objects, date and time, signature line. So this is far from a complete agreement, but for example's sake, I just wanted to go ahead and finish off the document. So now it says signatures, and I have some signature lines here, and I need to create a space where people could actually write their signatures. Back on the Insert tab, we do have an option for that called Signature Line, and I can enter the suggested signer and their title as well. The suggested signer in this case will be myself, Gabe, and the title will be Owner Videography. Perfect. And then I can add an email address if I want to. All right, and then I'll click OK. As we can see, this created a signature line, and I can actually move this down. So I want this to be right in front of the signature here, and maybe I just delete the text and just keep this, for example. Another way that we can do this on Word documents is simply just to hold Shift and hit the hyphen key, so underscore, and then just hold that out. You can create your own custom line that way. Okay, so that's going to be a lot of the functionality of the Insert tab. Let's go ahead and cover some of the other tabs before we end the video. Here we have the Draw tab, and this one's going to be pretty basic. We have things that we can use such as eraser. We have a pen, so I can literally just click and draw on the document, and I can grab the eraser and erase that. And then we have different colors. So I have red here. I can erase that as well. Then I also have a highlight that I can use to just custom highlight it, kind of like I was drawing on a real piece of paper. Okay, and then we also have ruler, so we could use that to measure if we'd like to. And we could add rule lines or grid lines to our document here as well. Okay, in the design tab here, we have custom themes that we could pick from. These themes might give us coordinating colors or a different style with different fonts. We also have some document formatting templates that we could pick from as well. And then we could also just change the color scheme and fonts from here. We could also change the colors and fonts from here, and we could add things such as a watermark, page color, or borders. Okay, in the layout tab, we have specific settings for indentations. We can adjust our margins, orientations, size, etc. We can also access breaks from here, and we have some various arranging options as well. Next up, we have references. This is exactly what it sounds like. This is going to be for references. We're going to cover this more in later tutorials. Here we have mailings. This is going to give us tools that can help us get this ready for delivery, whether it be email or an actual physical letter. Here we have the review tab, and we will actually cover this one just a little bit here. So if you send somebody a Word document and they open it and they select edit, they can basically go in here and they can hit what's called track changes. So if I enable this, we're now inside of the reviewing mode, which we can also access right here. Now, any changes that I make to the document, for example, if I change this from services provided to services provides for whatever reason, it's not going to actually make the change in the document. It's going to make a suggested change. Okay, so as the reviewer, I could then go to this feedback. Let's say I want to make a change here as well. Let's say I just want to delete post-production entirely. Again, I'm just making random changes here just to show you guys how this works. I've tracked 3 different changes. Again, it's not actually changing the document. It's basically giving me an option when I review this, whether or not I want to change it. So here I can select next and I can find the various changes that have been made in this document. And with them selected, I can either accept or reject. In this case, I'm going to reject this one. Okay, and then here, maybe I want to accept that. And I want to reject this one as well. We're going to cover this more in depth in future videos, but we just wanted to give you guys a glimpse of how we can utilize this feature. This is mostly going to be used when collaborating on documents. Now, a few other things we have here, we can show comments, we have languages and translation, we have some accessibility features, we have read aloud, and then we also have spelling and grammar and a word count as well. Next up, let's go to the view tab. Here we have various settings for how we can change our view, maybe in preparation for how we want to finalize our document. Then we have a developer tab. We'll go over this one more in the intermediate or advanced tutorials. And then lastly, we have a help tab. So here we can contact support or we can access support threads online. All right, so once you're done with your document, either it's completely done and you want to save it as a PDF and send it or upload it, or if you want to save it as a Word doc and send it to other people so that they can go ahead and make suggested changes or revisions, all of that is going to be done from the File tab. So back in the File tab, now that we're working on our document, we have Save or Save As. And let's go ahead and click Save As. Now, where we save our document is going to be very important for safety. We want to save this somewhere that it's not going to be deleted if it's critical data. And so I'm going to select, for me, I'm going to select this PC, and I'm going to select Indigo Software, which is a local file on my PC, on my C drive. So I'll select that. And then let's say I want to collaborate on this document or I want to keep working on it later. I'll just save it as a Word document. But if it's final and maybe I just want to go ahead and email it to somebody, I might save it as a PDF. All right. And then let's go ahead and click save. Okay. And then here we can see the saved document as a PDF. Now, if I do want to save this for future work as well, I'm also going to save this as a Word document. So I'll go back to this PC, same folder, same title, and I'll save this as a Word document. All right, the last thing we're going to show you guys is how to access this document in case you want to come back to it and keep working on it in the future. So I can close out of this. And then if I pull up Word again, it's automatically going to be here in my homepage. I'll just click into that and we're right back to editing our document. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. In this video, we're going to show you guys how to add a watermark to your Word document. There are a lot of cases in which you might want to do this to protect yourself or others, and it's actually fairly easy to do as it's a built-in feature directly inside of Word. All right guys, so here we have a comparative analysis essay that I'm working on. And let's just say that I want to watermark this before sending it off for approval. All we have to do is navigate a few tabs over from our home tab. So we're going to click to design, and inside of the design tab, all the way on the far right here, we have a page background group and we can see the watermark logo. Now we have a few different presets we can use. We could also add a custom watermark. We can also remove a watermark, or we can browse more from office.com. We can see there's currently no content available. All right, so let's pick one that we think will cover our document well. I'll go with this first one here. Now we've applied our watermark, but we probably don't want it to say confidential. So I'll click back into this and I'll hit custom watermark. Now there are a few things I could do here. Let's just say I want to add my logo. So I'll go from a file, I'll hit browse, and I'm just going to navigate to where I keep my logos. And I actually selected one that I have specifically for watermarking. So I'll press OK. Now we can see that my own custom logo watermark is applied, and I can continue to customize this. One thing I could do is I could turn off the washout if I want it to be like pretty much full opacity. So that's what that would do. And I can also go back to custom watermark, and maybe I want to go back to the text option here. I'm just going to change the text to our company name, Indigo Software. All right, going back into those settings one more time, we could change this to horizontal. We could keep it either semi-transparent or not, and we can also adjust the color of it. We also have some font options here. All right, and now we can see that that has taken effect on our document. And the last step would be to actually just go ahead and save this. So let's say I want to send this over as a PDF. I'll hit this PC and downloads. And let's change this here to PDF. All right, and then I'll press save. As we can see, our document has successfully been watermarked. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. In today's video, we're going to show you guys how to track changes and collaborate in a Word document. Word has a great built-in digital feature that will allow us to see, accept, or reject changes that somebody made to our document. Let's say I send this off to a colleague and I want them to review it to find any inconsistencies or maybe parts that they feel are not very persuasive. First, let's assume the role of the person who's editing the document. We're going to be mostly utilizing a tab called Review. Once we're here, we're simply going to click the Track Changes button. We could also hit the keyboard shortcut there that's showing us, which is Control-Shift-E. Another way we can actually enable this is in the top right corner. We have the editing mode, which is what we're doing now, or we can switch it to reviewing here, which is the same as the track changes mode. So we want to make sure that this says reviewing, and this little box will be highlighted as well. Let's say I'm going to suggest replacing this with great. So I'm just going to type great, and we can see that the recommended deleted word is now crossed out and the recommended added word is actually underlined. So this is an easy way to see our suggestion, and this won't actually impact the document until whoever is reviewing it approves or denies it. Maybe I want to add some additional information here. This is the company that makes DaVinci Resolve, Blackmagic. Let's go ahead and continue to mark this up a little bit. Okay, so I've added a few other suggestions to the document. Now let's assume that I'm the person who wants to review or accept these changes. This part is going to be very easy as well. One thing that may help is to show the markup. So if we click under Show Markup, again, we're still on the Review tab. We can hover over this thing that says Balloons, and the first option is Show Revisions in Balloons. This is going to make it a little bit easier to see, first of all, who made the change and what they've actually done. And so in order, scrolling down, again, we can see the suggested revisions off to the side in our right pane. Now, luckily, it's very easy to accept these changes. We also have buttons here that will allow us to go to the previous or next revision. All right, let's go ahead and accept this one. And I actually want to reject this one. Let's say I want to read through the document at this point, even though I still have some edits to review. If we drop this menu down, we can actually show no markup. However, it's important to note that this mode will actually not reflect the changes that we have yet to address. Let's go back to all markup and we'll continue reviewing our document. All right, let's go ahead and accept this change. I'll accept this one. I'm going to reject this one and I'll accept this one. All right, and once you're done, you'll see something that says this: there aren't any tracked changes in your document. So now we can go back into the editing mode and our revisions are complete. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. In today's video, we're going to show you guys how to automatically create a table of contents in Word. So we have this title page here, and then I have my second page. I have my unmatched features, and I have my cost effectiveness. And then I have my second page and my third page where I have my conclusion. Now, if you've noticed, I've separated the paragraphs with subtitles. And so this is going to be an important first step in order to make sure that this works correctly. So on the Home tab here, we can select our section title, for example. The important thing is to make sure that all of these match. For example, let's go ahead and select heading 1. If you haven't written paragraph headings or page headings, you may want to go ahead and do that first. I'm going to go ahead and select heading 1 on each of my paragraph headings, and we're just going to do this until we've done it to all of them. Okay, and then I'm going to select my title. And let's go ahead and select title. And I might make some slight formatting adjustments here. Let's go ahead and maybe bold this. So I'm happy with that. Next up, I'm going to move my cursor past my title on my title page. And what we want to do here is we want to insert a new blank page. So insert, and I'm going to do blank page. And we can go ahead and title this page if we want to. I'm going to select heading 1 again, and we're going to call this table of contents. Okay, let's press enter. All right, next we're going to go to the references tab and we're going to click table of contents. Here we have a few options. We have automatic table 1 or automatic table 2. Let's try automatic table 1. All right, and as we can see, we have our table of contents here. This is going to give us our headings and tell us which page. And so we can easily navigate to exactly what part of the document we want to read. Now let's say we make changes to our document. For example, I'm going to add in a new heading here. I'm going to call this DaVinci Wide Gamut / Intermediate. All right, and I've added my new section here, but as we can see, it did not change anything in the table of contents. All we have to do is select and click Update Table. Let's do Update the entire table. As we can see, we have our new section here, which I've just added. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. In today's video, we're covering 3 shortcuts that you can use inside of Microsoft Word to double your productivity. All right guys, so we have a Word document pulled up here for demonstration. And the first keyboard shortcut that we wanted to talk about is a pretty popular one, but we wanted to cover it nonetheless. And this is the undo redo. So for example, let's say I highlight this section, but I accidentally deleted it when I didn't mean to. I'll hold Control and hit Z, and this keyboard is to undo. If I decided I actually did want to delete that, I'll do Control together with Y. So Control Z is undo and Control Y is redo. This works for a lot of different things, including typing a sentence or making layout or design changes. For example, let's type in Indigo Software. And if I hit Control Z, it's actually going to remove that because that whole line was considered one action. Let's say I take this text here and I highlight this. I can Control Z to undo, Control Y to redo. So almost all of the actions that you do, this shortcut will quickly undo or redo it, saving you from having to manually retype something. The next shortcut is Control together with F. This shortcut is going to help us to find things. So we could find text or images or comments without having to sort of scan through it with our eyes. Let's say I want to find the word Windows. I'll just simply type in Windows and then I'll hit enter. It's going to automatically highlight everywhere that says Windows. Not only that, but it also breaks it down into paragraphs where the word is used on this left navigation pane. This is going to be a very useful tool anytime you're looking for a little bit of text and you don't actually have to manually go find it. The last shortcut, let's go ahead and select these numbers here. And let's say I want these to be bullet points. I'm going to hold Control and then Shift and press L. So by doing that, I can add bullet points anywhere on my document in a simple keyboard shortcut instead of having to go up and use this button here. And as we mentioned earlier, we can just as easily undo this by hitting Control Z. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. In today's video, we're going to show you guys how to remove blank pages from Microsoft Word. If you've ever encountered the issue where you're not really sure why there are extra blank pages, or you just have blank pages that you want to delete, this video is for you. All right, guys, so here on the screen, I have an essay that I was working on. And at some point, I noticed that there were all these blank pages, and I just want to be able to remove these, but it's actually not really easily apparent on how to do that. Luckily, it's not too difficult. We're just going to point out a few tools that can help you solve this problem and maybe prevent this issue in the future. The first thing we're going to do here is place our cursor on the last. The first thing we're going to do is place our cursor after the final text. From here, I'm going to hit the delete key. Let's keep hitting that until all the pages are gone. Now this document is exactly how I want it. There's also a tool that's going to help us to identify the formatting behind the pages, which might explain some of the reasoning behind why there are blank pages in the first place. So I just added the blank pages back in. And if I go to the Home tab and click this little button right here, this is the Show/Hide button. It's going to show us hidden formatting symbols. So if we look and we can see on these blank pages here, we have page breaks. Again, that's going to break the text off to the next page, which is why we have these entirely blank pages. This is also going to show us our section breaks. Now I could highlight this and I could hit backspace, or again, I could simply click to the last piece of text and hit the delete key. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. In today's video, we're going to show you guys how to convert a PDF document to a Word document completely for free. All right guys, so here I am on my desktop. For today's tutorial, we're going to be using a completely free to use software called Indigo PDF Tools. This software is directly available from the Microsoft Store, which I can access at the Start menu. Once in the store, I'm just going to search for Indigo PDF and we'll see it pop up right here. I already have it downloaded, so I'll simply click Open. The only requirement is to register or sign into your existing account. Once you've done that, press Sign In. We're going to navigate down. This is the homepage here. We're going to navigate all the way down towards the Convert PDF section, and we're going to look for PDF to Word. It's right here, so I'll go ahead and click that. Before I make the conversion, let's go ahead and find the file that I want to use. In my downloads folder, I'm going to go ahead and navigate the PDF that I want to convert. All right, so I've pulled up the PDF here. This is a PDF about Microsoft software. I want to convert this into a Word document so I can edit it. So let's go ahead and close out of this, and we'll close this. Back inside of Indigo PDF Tools, I will click Choose Files, and I'll navigate to my downloads where that one is, and we'll click the Microsoft Software Overview.pdf. Output file format should be doc, and we'll press Convert. All right, and just like that, it converted it into a doc, so let's go ahead and open that up. And if I enable editing, now I can edit and modify the entire document and save it as a Word doc or a PDF. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. In today's video, we're covering a specific topic. We're going to show you guys how to start your page numbers on a later page. So rather than starting on your title page, for example, you could start on page 2 or page 3. This video was specifically requested in the comments, and we thought it'd be a great little tip for people who use Word on a regular basis. Okay, so I've written an essay about why standalone purchases are better than subscriptions at the individual level. I specifically split the paragraphs onto 5 different pages for this tutorial. So as we can see, I currently have no page numbers. So let's go ahead and start with adding some page numbers. On the Insert tab, I'm going to click on Page Number right here. Let's go with bottom of the page, and I'm going to scroll down until I find sort of style that I like. Not really a big fan of these, but I do like the one where it says page and then the number. So we'll go with accent bar number 4. And it's going to put it in the footer automatically, which is fine. And if I double click out of that, we can see my page 1 starts here. Now, in this case, I want my page 1 to actually start on page 2. And here's how we're going to do that. So going back to the Insert tab, underneath page numbers, we're going to select Format Page Numbers. Now here how it says continue from previous section, change this to start at, and change the value of 1 to 0. So I'll click OK. All right, so as we can see, we have successfully numbered our pages starting at number 2. So page 2, which is the actual start of our text, says page 1. And as we scroll down, it'll say page 2, 3, and 4. Additionally, I can actually remove the page 0 from here by clicking into the header and checking this option for different first page. Now clicking off of that, there is no number here, but page 1 still exists on the actual text page. Now, if you want your numbers to start on a specific page, that's not number 2, because this method only works for number 2. Let's go ahead and dive into that. You can still do it, although it is a little bit trickier. So to start off, I'm going to double click into my footer, and inside of page number, I'm going to go ahead and just remove page numbers. So it should have removed it from all the pages, and there we go. Now double clicking out of that, we're going to go back to our home tab here, and we're going to select this little icon, which is the show hide icon. This is going to show us paragraph marks and other hidden formatting symbols. Now basically what we want to do is we want to replace the page breaks with section breaks. So we want our title and or table of contents, if you had those, or other pages before the actual text. We want to basically replace the page break with a section break. And so it's going to set that as one section and our body text as another section. So I'm literally just going to highlight this and I'll press backspace. Now that worked, but now our text is all the way up here on our title page, which we don't want. I'm going to click over to the layout tab and we'll click this little icon that says breaks. We can see we have a column for section breaks here, and we're going to click next page. All right, so I have successfully separated these sections. As we can see, this is footer of section 1, which makes this footer independent of section 2, which means we can adjust and set our numbers in the section 2. So all I have to do now is inside of section 2, I'm going to go home first and actually click the show hide again to remove that. And then back over to the header and footer, we'll click page number. Again, we'll go bottom of page and we'll go to the same one we had earlier, which was accent bar 4. And there's an important setting here that we want to uncheck, and it's called link to previous. Clicking that is going to give us independent control of our page number formatting. So now I can go back into here, format page numbers. Again, that's hitting the page numbers. And this time we just want it to start at 1. So I'll click OK. And then I'll click into my section 1 footer here, and we're going to remove page numbers. Now page 1 starts on our specified page, which is here. And again, if we had multiple pages, we would repeat the same process as changing the page break to a section break. So you just make all of your first few pages that aren't actual pages section 1, and section 2 would be where your body text starts. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. In today's video, we have a quick topic for you guys. We're going to show you guys how to add a password or encrypt a document in Microsoft Word. All right guys, so for the purpose of demonstration, we're using a client shot list as our example document. Let's just say for whatever reason, I want this to be password protected, and I don't want anyone to access it without knowing or having the password. Now, luckily, this is pretty straightforward, and this will be a quick video for you guys. So we'll go into the File tab here on the left. We're going to click Info. Quick note that this feature is available and can be used from 2010 onwards, and that's referring to the versions of Microsoft Word. So I'm going to click here to protect document. Notice we have a few different options from the dropdown. We can say always open read only. We have a full standard encryption. We can restrict the editing, we can restrict the access, we can add a digital signature, or lastly, we can mark as a final. So these are different ways we can protect the document. Let's go ahead and see what the first option does. So I'm going to go ahead and click save, and this saves the document. All right, and let me go ahead and open it up again for my downloads. Let's see what happened. As we can see, we're prompted to read only. I'm going to select no, as I actually, again, want to continue to edit it. Going back into File, Info, and Protect Document, we'll also show you guys what it looks like to restrict the editing. Here in the top right, we can limit formatting to a selection of styles, and we can configure that. So for example, if I click that little settings icon here, I could check this box and I could prevent people from switching themes, and I could only allow certain styles. Additionally, I could check this box and select some further editing restrictions, such as forms, comments, or tracked changes. We'll go back into File and Info again. Again, we have similar options at the bottom, all with a very similar process as the first two. For the main one we wanted to show you guys in this video, we're going to click Encrypt. Here I'm going to enter the password that I want to save it as, and I'll hit OK. Remember that the passwords are case sensitive, and we're prompted to enter it again, and this basically makes sure that you don't accidentally type the wrong password. All right, so I'll click Save, and then I'm going to close down Word. Let's go ahead and open that up. As we can see, we are prompted for a password. If I type in a random password and hit OK, it's going to say incorrect and we are not able to access the document. And of course, if I type in the correct password, we're then brought back to that earlier prompt where I can select no if I want to edit the document. At this point, every time I make an edit, so for example, I'm going to bold the second two paragraphs just to make a change on here, file and save. And the next time I open this document, again, it is going to be encrypted. So it's going to remain encrypted even as you make changes. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. In today's video, we're going to show you guys how to use Microsoft Word to create your professional resume. Now, if you don't already have Microsoft Word or Office installed, we have several videos on our channel dedicated to that. So feel free to check those out. With that being said, I'll go ahead and open up Microsoft Word. Specifically, I am using Office 2021, the standalone version for Windows. Now, here in the Home tab, I could create a blank document and I could start formatting this template myself. However, Word actually comes stock with a lot of different resumes, as we can see a few of them here at the top. I'm going to click More Templates here, and in the search bar, I'll just type resume. Now, I'm going to preview some of the different resumes here until I find one that I like. I like to keep my resumes very simple and clean. With that in mind, I'm going to select this one right here. As we saw, I just had to double click it, and now I'm in the editing section here of this template. You'll notice that the template already has the fonts in place as well. So I'll go ahead and start adding my information. Now, as you can see, I'm simply just highlighting the sections here, and it's automatically highlighting the entire section in which I can retype it manually. So I've started to add some basic information here. I added my name at the top. I've added videographer/filmmaker as the sort of role that I'm looking to get hired for. Now, I've started to fill in some of the other things here as well. So for example, I could put past job roles where I have been the content creator or videographer, and I could go ahead and continue to fill this out. Once I've edited the text, I can click to highlight just like I normally would on a standard blank document, and maybe I want to change up the fonts a little bit. All right, and once I'm happy with my document here, I'm actually going to save this as a PDF. So I'll go to File, Export, and I will click Create PDF/XPS. Here I'll select PDF, which is selected by default, and I'm just going to save this to my desktop. I'll click Publish, and now I can take this and submit it for job applications. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. In today's video, we're covering top 5 features in Microsoft Word in 2024. All right, so I have Office Professional Plus 2021 installed. Again, that will be a link in the description. And I just started a blank document here so that we can demonstrate our top 5 features. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is Quick Parts. So I've created a simple signature for Indigo Software. It has the company name, the headline, as well as the website. Now, let's say I'm using this signature a lot in various different documents I'm working on in Word. It could also be like some sort of header with an address, street name, stuff like that. Whatever it is that you use on a recurring basis, go ahead and select it. So we have Indigo Software, the tagline, and then our website. Now, if I go to Insert, the tab here at the top, we have a little button here called Quick Parts. Click down to that and then hit Save Selection to Quick Part Gallery. So I'm going to put this as Indigo Software header and I'll press OK. All right, so if I delete this, anytime I'm in a new document, I can simply click on Quick Parts and then where it says Indigo Software header, I just click on that and it inputs the text into the document for me. Next up, I'm going to click over to the View tab. Under Immersive, we have Focus. This is going to give us a non-distracted view of our document, and the page size itself will be larger as well. So if you're really just typing and thinking, Focus is a great tool to reach for. Simply exit by hitting the Escape key. Next up, we're going to go back into the Home tab. Here we can click this little arrow, which is going to pull up our clipboard history. So we can select previously copied sections of text or links or images. And instead of having to go find it and copy again, we can just refer to our clipboard history, and that can help save some time. Okay, next up, I'm navigating back to the Insert tab, and here we have a little tool where we can actually take a screenshot. So if I click on this little cross comes up on the screen. I can click and drag to make my selection for the screenshot and release to take, and it's going to insert it directly into the document. So let me show you without anything in here. If I go to Insert, and then I'll go back over to Screenshot, Screen Clipping, we'll go ahead and take that screenshot, and there we go. It inserts it into the document. I could then resize or position accordingly. All right, guys, and the final feature we're going to go over today is in the References tab. So underneath this tab, we have this search function. This is going to allow me to search the web directly from Word, and I could type for any relevant query that I'm looking for. So if I'm researching either for reference documents or for images or whatever the case may be, I can simply put that in here. So if I put Indigo software, for example, I now have different articles and links that I can choose from if I want to continue that research. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. So in today's video, we're going to be covering our picks for the top 10 best tips and tricks within Microsoft Word. So we're using Word on the Mac today. If you're on Windows, some of the menu items are going to be in slightly different locations. If I notice anything that might be different on Windows, I'll point it out. But anyways, let's begin. All right, so we're in Microsoft Word. I'm just going to start without a document open. And the first tip that we have for you guys is dark mode. So you can enable dark mode with the newer versions of Word. On Mac, it's going to be within the preferences here. And on Windows, it's just going to be in the main file tab, and it'll be within your account settings. So we'll pull up our preferences. So for me, I currently have dark mode on with a white page color. And I'm feeling like I want to switch it up, so I'll leave off dark mode for now, but that is our first tip for you guys. Now, moving on to tip number 2, Word actually has the ability to convert PDF documents into Word documents where you can actually change the text. So if you're familiar with PDFs, you'll know that you can't directly edit the text from them, but Word will allow you to make an easy conversion. This will even work in the case of your PDF having an image with text in it, if that makes sense. So I've got an example PDF here. Within Word, we're going to go to our File tab and we're going to select Open. So we'll double click to open. You can see that it is converting it. And just like that, I can go through and edit all of this text, and then I can either share it as a PDF again, or I can just simply save it as a Word document. All right, for tip number 3, we're going to show you guys how you can utilize formulas all within Word, not having to go back to Excel. So I've got a table down here that we're going to use for demonstration purposes. And to get to the formulas, we're going to go to the Table tab. We'll go down and click on Formula. Let's just say I want to add all these numbers together. So I'll start on this little cell right here. Again, that's Table, Formula, Sum above. That's perfect. That's what I want. And we'll press OK. It's going to make that calculation for me right here. All right, for tip number 4, we have Sort Lists. So I'm going to select the list of names right here. Let's just say I want to go in alphabetical order. You can also do ascending order. But anyways, we'll go back to the Home tab with our selection made. And then right here, there's a little button for sort. Click on that, and then I'm going to type is text. We'll leave it as ascending, we'll press OK. So as you can see, it is in alphabetical order by name. I could also do the same thing on this side over here and go in ascending numbers. So we'll click that, we'll press OK, and it just sorted it for me again. Now tip number 5 is going to be utilizing Word's collaboration. So we no longer have to save a Word document, email it to someone, they edit it, send it back to us, and then we combine both documents. You don't have to do that anymore. It's not nearly as tedious. We can actually work on documents simultaneously with other people. And the way we do that is with this share button in the top right. We can invite people or copy a link. So for example, if I invited somebody and then I check this can edit, so this way they can make edits to the document, and press share. So now they have an invitation to come in and edit this document on Word. And that takes all of the headache out of doing this. All right, and the next tip we have for you guys is pinning documents within your File tab. So let me just X out of this, bring up the main menu. So let's say I want to pin one of these documents so that I can easily find it because I know I'm going back to it constantly. All we have to do is click this little pin icon next to our document that we want to pin. And just like that, it's pinned, and I can click over to the pin section and find the documents that I have pinned. Now, let's say that you want to have different ways to say a word that might help you better articulate your message. We're going to highlight the word makes, and then we can right click on it and see what kind of synonyms it's going to give us. Now for the next tip, we're going to head over to the Review tab. And all within Word, we can actually translate either sections or the entire document into a different language. So I'm going to click the button that says Translate, and we're going to go with the section here, and I'll just make a little selection of this part. As you can see, this little paragraph here is now translated to Spanish. I can insert this, I can copy it. So very handy little feature there. Now the next tip we have for you guys is Table of Contents. So we're going to click over to the References tab. And if I click on Table of Contents, you can pick a theme and then pop that in there. You can see I've got one right here. And this is going to automatically create a table of contents. And the only requirement is that each section that you have has one of the default Microsoft Word headings. So just to show you guys, if I highlight this, anything up here is going to work with the automatic table of contents. But if you pick a custom font and style, it's not going to pick it up. All right, the 10th and final tip that we have for you guys today is citations. So let me just remove the citation that I entered here.
And if we click the citations button following a quote, it's going to automatically create that citation for us. So we can click this little plus button down here at the bottom, which is going to let us create a new source. Now I already have a source that I want to use, but you can change this to book, report, website, whatever the case may be. Enter in that basic information, press OK, click your source, double click, and boom, it's going to add that citation for us. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Gabe with Indigo Software, genuine Microsoft software for less. And in today's video, we're going to show you guys how to use Microsoft Word in just 10 minutes. Now this is a beginner's guide, and if you want to see something more intermediate or advanced, let us know in the comment section below. Now we're on the Mac again today. I'm going to open up my Finder. We're going to navigate to Applications, Microsoft Word, and we'll double click to open it up. Now, whether you're on older or newer versions of Microsoft Word, or if you're on a PC, the tips in this video are still mostly going to be applicable to you, as the program itself is very, very similar across different versions and platforms. So when you open up Microsoft Word, we're going to be met with different templates. So things like calendars, resumes. You can click more templates if you want to browse through a little bit more of these, and you can also search for something that you are specifically looking for. But in the case of today's tutorial, we're going to go back to our home and we're going to create a blank document. So we'll double click that and we will put this in full screen. Now, once you open a blank page in Microsoft Word, you're going to see these things up here, which are called tabs. So these tabs each have their ribbon. This is the ribbon right here. And the ribbon is relevant to whatever the tab is titled. And within each ribbon, you'll have different groups separated by these little lines right here. So groups will put similar things together. Table, you have picture, shapes, icons, all under the Insert tab. So these all relate to Insert, and within each group, they all kind of relate to each other. And so different tabs will give you different ribbons, different tools, etc. And for now, we're going to stay on the home page. The home page consists of the most commonly used tools, such as highlighter, bold, italic, underline. You've got your font and font size, and basic tools like that that you will probably use on a regular basis. Now, another thing to notice when navigating is you'll see a lot of different drop-down menus. So, example for the underline, you see different types of underlines. If I go to Insert, you'll see that Smart Art gives me a list of categories here. So these drop-down menus are basically expanding upon whatever the tool itself says, and it just gives you lots of different options. Now, I want this page to be a little bit bigger. It'll be easier for me to see it and navigate through it. So I'm just using this little slider on the bottom right, the zoom slider. And about there looks good. Now, me personally, I like to work with the ruler turned on. You can change the dimensions of your page, or you can just see them, which is pretty nice. So we'll go over to the View tab, and within this ribbon, we see a ruler. So we can just check that on, and now we have that ruler at the top. Now, if you're a student writing a document for school, you might have to put certain information, such as your name, date, and class in the upper right-hand corner. Sometimes in the upper left-hand corner. So in the case that we want to go upper right, I want to go back to the home. Again, it's those common tools, and I'm going to align this to the right, which is this little icon here. It says align right once you hover over it. And I'll enter in my name, enter my company, and I'll enter my email address. Format may look something like that if you're a student, and so that's just an easy way to get there. Now I'm going to press enter to create space. Press enter one more time, and then I'm going to use this little button right here to center the text. And now we're going to type our title. We're going to call this 10 Steps to Cinematic Composition. So we've typed in our title, and I actually decided I want to use a different font for the entire document. I'm going to press a keyboard shortcut, Command or Control if you're on Windows, and the letter A. This is going to select everything on the page. We're going to change our font to Times New Roman, and font size 11. Now I want to select just the title so I can make this look more like a title. Now I can manually bold, bold is right here, italicize, underline. I can do any of that or change the size, but it's really easy if you just use some of their preset options up here. Again, we're on the Home tab, and I'm going to click on Title, and then I'm going to press that center button again. And this is going to choose whichever font is default for this style. So I'm just going to go back and change this back to my old font, Times New Roman, and now I have a title. So I'm going to enter again and enter one more time. And now we're ready to start typing on our document. All right, so I typed in a very basic introduction, 2 sentences, and let's say I want to move down the page. So it's not going to let you do that. Instead, you have to press the Enter key, This will let you create some space between this and your main body paragraph, and then delete will go back. So this is an easy way to just navigate through based on how you want to lay out your page. I can always use the clicker to go back up, click in between words to edit things. So that's a really easy way to do that as well. Now let's say that right after this short introduction, I want to add a picture, visual element to kind of help better articulate my idea here. We're going to move to the Insert tab, and then under Pictures, you'll have a drop-down menu, and I can either choose one from my computer, or the easiest thing to do, that's very convenient in this case, is to select Online Pictures. And this is going to pull up the internet using Bing, and I'm going to search for cinematography. So I'm looking for something more like this, something like a cinematic image example. You can really search anything that's relevant to what you're trying to portray. But this looks good to me, or even this one. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one and press Insert. Now, right off the bat, this is definitely not exactly where I want it. And you can see that it's not letting me drag and place it where I want it. So if you make a mistake like this, easy keybind is Command Z. That's the undo keybind. You can also press this little back button right here, which is the undo button. And I'm going to start by just sizing this down. So drag it in the corner, any corner, and just size the image down. Again, I still cannot move it. Now, if you want to be able to move your picture and change how it's placed, we're going to right click, and wrap text is going to give us a variety of options to be able to change how we're editing this. Behind text or in front of text will allow you to essentially free move this picture around the document. So either one of those two is fine. We're going to select that. And now when I go to drag this around, I can just put it right here and it's going to stay right there. So that's really nice because this is definitely more like what I'm trying to achieve here. If you notice when I click on the picture, it pulls up the picture format tab, which was not previously there. And this is going to give us all sorts of options to edit this picture. So we could change the transparency of it. There's a bunch of different artistic and color effects, color corrections. There's a ton of different things that you can do here. So if you want to edit the picture from how it looks stock, you can go through some of these different menu options and change up the image to your desired look. And another useful tool is you have a crop tool over here. So if I select the image, I can crop it to my desired ratio. Let's say you want it to be not quite as long or not quite as tall. That's a very easy way to do that. Now, if we go back to the Insert tab, there's also a lot of different options that you can choose from here. You could do icons, shapes, smart art, and there's media so that you could import video. There's just a ton of different options here that you could explore if you're looking to do something other than just a picture. Now, another thing you might want to do is add a text box. This would be useful for writing a photo caption if you wanted to explain what's going on in this photo. So we're on the Insert tab. We're going to select text box, and then we'll do draw text box. And from here, I'm just going to draw a little square in the bottom right of this picture. And here I could write in a caption to describe the photo, and it's going to let me move this text box around, which is super, super helpful in cases like this. Because it'll be a little bit more difficult to do that with just line typing. So for now, I'm just going to remove this. And in this case, I would continue to type out my document until I was complete. And once it's complete, there's actually a couple of different things that you can do to better this document. And here's what you can do. So we're going over to the Review tab. And one thing that is super helpful is to check the spelling and grammar. So I'm going to intentionally misspell a couple of things here. And then I'm going to go over here to the top left and select spelling and grammar. And Word is going to suggest corrections that it notices in your page. So for here, I'll press change to cinematic because that is indeed what I was trying to type. And then composition, again, it's the first one that's automatically highlighted. Press change. You could also do change all if you don't want to go through every single word that's misspelled. But I like to review what it's picking up here just to make sure. So we'll select change. And now it's going to say that it's complete. So we know our spelling and grammar is good to go. And if you had a specific word count for an essay that you were writing, you can also see that right here. So it'll tell you pages, words, characters, and so on. Also within this Review tab, you have things like thesaurus, and you have various other tools here that can help you refine and make your work better. Now let's say you're required to have your essay double spaced. So I'm going back to my home page here. I'm going to click my cursor in and Command A to select all. And then this little button right here is line spacing. So I'd simply just switch that to 2.0. And now this would be double space, and this would be the correct format based on my requirements. So definitely take a look at all these different tools here. You've got a highlighter here if you wanted to go through and highlight different words. You can also drop that down to change the color. So there's a ton of different tools that are useful in Word, especially on the homepage. I would recommend that you just take time to explore these different tools and what they do and how you can use them. So I'm complete with my document and I want to save it. How do we do that? So I'm going to go up to my computer and we're going to press File on the computer. So this isn't a tab that's within Word, it's within your computer. And we're going to press File. And the first thing that I would recommend that you do is save as. This is going to save all of your work in a Word document format. And this is going to let you open it up and continue exactly where you left off anytime that you want to do that. And so we'll name the document and make sure that you select a location just so that you're sure where it is if you're ever looking for it. And we'll press save. So this is safely saved and I don't have to worry about losing this work that I've made here. But what if you want this in a PDF format or other format? Well, we're going to go back up to File. And since we're on Mac, we actually don't have an export button underneath File. And so if you want that PDF, the easiest way to do that is Share and Send PDF. If you're on Windows, you'll have an Export PDF option, so just be aware of that. But in this case, we're going to do Share and Send PDF. And if I clicked on this, it would pull up a little email box where I could email it to myself as a PDF. From there, I could download it. So that concludes today's video. We really hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, we'd really appreciate a subscribe, like, comment. Again, if you want to check out Microsoft software, check out Indigo software, links in the description to save a lot of money. So thanks for watching and we'll see you guys in the next video.